Failure is a word we whisper in shame, a shadow we try to outrun, a bruise we hide behind laughter and distraction. But what if failure was never the enemy? What if everything you were taught to fear was actually the key? Because somewhere between the falls, the rejections, the missed chances, and the silent battles, we were being shaped. This is not just a story about losing. This is about how every great life is built on broken pieces. This is how warriors are formed, how legends are made, how you become something more than you were. There's a moment in every journey when everything collapses. The plan doesn't work. The world doesn't care. You give your best, and it isn't enough. You hear it in the silence after trying, in the job that didn't call back, the audience that didn't show, the love that left. Failure arrives not as a bang, but a whisper. You're not who you thought you were. But that's where it begins. Because who you thought you were, that was never the full truth. That was a draft, an outline. Failure doesn't erase your identity. It edits it. It removes illusions. And what remains is real. You don't know your strength until tested. And failure is the test. That first crash isn't the end. It's the moment you meet yourself for the first time, without filters, without praise. Just you and the silence. It's not pleasant, but it's pure. And it's the beginning of something unstoppable. It doesn't matter where you start. Everyone's first fall feels like the last one. But if you learn to listen in the wreckage, you hear it. The voice that says, "Get up." And that's the moment you start to live. Not as a dreamer, but as a fighter. We live in a world addicted to performance, metrics, applause, outcomes. But success is deceptive. It hides the hours of doubt, the nights with no sleep, the moments when someone almost gave up. You see the highlight, not the hell. We celebrate overnight success stories, forgetting that the night might have lasted 10 years. And failure? It's cut out of the frame, unmentioned, buried. So we grow up fearing it, like it's something shameful. But behind every win is a graveyard of failures that built it. We weren't raised to embrace failure. We were taught to avoid it. And that's the first betrayal. Because by avoiding it, we avoid growth. The truth is, success without failure is fake. And failure without reflection is just pain. But failure used correctly, that's transformation. What we call failure is just a seed, but we're too afraid to plant it. Success as a concept has become hollow. Something you perform, not something you live. You get the car, the likes, the job title, and still feel empty. Because real success is inner mastery. And that doesn't come from comfort. It comes from the times you were broken and kept going anyway. The ones who never fail, never do anything real. The ones who never fall, never run far enough. Failure is the signature of effort, the receipt of courage. Imagine this. A toddler falls hundreds of times before learning to walk. Do we call them failures or learners? A scientist runs 1,000 failed experiments. Do we call them incompetent or persistent? Failure, when viewed through growth, becomes something else entirely: feedback. It's not saying you're worthless, it's saying, try another angle. The only real failure is quitting. Every other one is a lesson. Every person you admire, every single one, has a trail of losses behind them. But they learned, they adapted, they moved. They didn't avoid failure, they used it. It becomes your greatest teacher, your sharpest coach, your toughest trainer. The pain of failure, that's just the cost of wisdom. It is in the pit of defeat that you start to reframe who you are. You begin to ask better questions. Who am I when it all goes wrong? What part of me still refuses to quit? You stop chasing success as an identity. You start becoming the kind of person who can survive storms. Failure becomes a microscope. It shows you the small flaws that could become big ones. It teaches humility, and humility is power. People chase confidence, but confidence without humility is arrogance. Failure gifts both. J.K. Rowling was rejected by a dozen publishers. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school team. Steve Jobs was fired from the company he built. They failed, publicly, brutally, repeatedly. But that wasn't the end. It was the ignition. Because when everything burns down, you learn what's really inside you. Failure doesn't destroy the worthy, it reveals them. There's a story buried under every scar, a lesson in every collapse, a map written in the cracks. And the most powerful people you know? They're just people who kept walking through the fire. They bled. They cried. They doubted. But they never stopped. They didn't rise because they were fearless. They rose because they learned the language of falling. The edge is where you meet your maker. The edge is where you decide who you are. The edge of failure? It's not a cliff. It's a forge. In that fire, you're melted down, stripped of your ego, and rebuilt into something unshakable. You can read all the books, attend all the seminars, but until you fail deeply, painfully, publicly, you will never understand your true capacity. The world's greatest transformations happen in private moments of despair, when no one claps, when no one watches, when you're left with only your will. That's when the breakthrough begins. 1. Feel it. Don't numb the pain. Let it sting. That's how you learn. 2. Face it. Name what didn't work. Own it. Power begins with truth. 3. Find the lesson. Every fall has a gift. Find it. 4. Forge ahead. Use the failure as fuel. Don't stay down. 5. Frame it differently. You didn't lose, you learned. 6. Follow through. Try again and again until the fear becomes quiet. This is how you build the resilience muscle. The warrior mindset. Failure is not a wall. It's a mirror. It shows you where you must grow. Everything breaks before it rebuilds. Even you. You are not here to avoid pain. You are here to become so strong, so grounded, that the pain refines you. There is power in scars, and strength in stories no one else understands. So rise again. Not because it's easy, but because there is no other option. This is your story. This is your test. This is your invitation to become undeniable. Every time you fail, you get closer to truth. Every time you fall, you get closer to mastery. Every time you break, you reveal what's unbreakable inside you. Because the world doesn't need perfect people. It needs real ones. And you, forged in failure, are as real as it gets. Failure is not a curse. It's not a flaw. It's the sharpest tool in your transformation. The next time you fail, don't shrink. Don't run. Look it in the eye and smile. Because now you know, this is not the end. This is the beginning. Failure is not falling down. Failure is staying down. And you rise. Every single time.